This is a recording from our 30-minute snack room bite-sized learning series focusing on flexing your communication style for impact. In this video, we'll review how to customize your messaging for greater understanding and desired action. Visit our YouTube channel to watch the full video where we cover topics like flexing your communication approach, motivating others, and communication and conflict.
So when we think about customizing our message, you're like, okay, Galen, that's really great. It's super cool. But what if I don't have a Myers-Briggs, or I don't have a DISC instrument, or I don't have some other instrument that tells me who they are? Well, first of all, they're not going to be prescriptive. It's not a 4-letter branding that goes on somebody's forehead that says this is how they're always going to work or communicate. It gives us some insight. But there's other ways that we can figure out kind of what their needs are. And so when we think about it, I want to understand what your preferences are. And this comes back to the platinum rule. I remember hearing a speaker, gosh, it was probably 20 years ago, who said, we've all heard the golden rule, do unto others as you would like to be, have done unto you. But the platinum rule says, do unto others as they would like to be done to, right? How do I communicate to them in a way that works for them? Not necessarily my preferred style. And this is this whole concept of style flexing. So to understand and be able to do that, I'm going to start first by observing. So just watch whoever you're trying to communicate with. How are they energized? Are they seeking other people out? How do they spend their free time? Are they in solitary activities like hiking, surfing, kayaking, individual things? Or are they the team sport person? Are they the one who says, let's all go bowling together and we can have drinks before and drinks after and we'll do this and it'll be so fun? And, we know that that's a person who likes other people around them, right? This is going to matter when it comes time to recognize or reward people, because I want to recognize or reward them in a way that matters to them and that feels like a reward, not like punishment, right? But what I also want to see is those types and others. Remember the ones I talked about who process externally? I want to make sure that if they're the ones who process externally, but I'm a person who thinks, then does, and then thinks about it instead of does, then thinks, then does. See, we're different. We're kind of operating in different gears, right? Different pace, different ways of communicating. So if I know that they think out loud, one, I probably need to wait until the end of what they're saying to understand what they really mean. But if I'm a person who says what I mean, because it all happened in my head, I think I got it from the very beginning. When they start with, well, I think we should paint the room blue, and I think that would really look nice. I'm like, okay, blue, I'm done. I can leave. My brain has gone on to my next task. But that was just the beginning of their thought process. They don't say what they mean until the end. So you got to be a little patient and wait until the end. And as one of my clients said, he goes, oh, you just saved my marriage, Galen. Like my wife talks and talks. I can just wait till the end when she's coming in for the wrap up, and that's when I tune in. I can ignore her up till then. I'm like, oh, that may not quite be the message, but I'm glad you're sort of getting the concept. So we want to think about those things. On the other hand, if I'm somebody who thinks out loud and I'm talking to somebody whose process is inside, when I ask a question, it may look like this. Blue, right? But that long pause is so hard for that type who loves to think out loud. And so they start interrupting, they're interjecting. So, just like a quick idea. It doesn't have to be forever. Just maybe one thought. Well, maybe just the other person's like, if you'd be quiet, I'd be good. I'd be ready to go. Just be patient, wait for me. Does not mean one's a faster or slower processor. We just process differently. So we have to be patient. So just understanding these styles on listening, we have to listen. And if I'm a person who wants to interject, count to 10. Don't go like this. Just count in your head to 10, give the silence and the time for somebody to process, and then they'll engage, right? So communication is more than what we say. It's also how we listen. And on the other hand, have that little bit of patience to wait until the end, because they're going to say what they mean at the end. And you can see when we have these differences in type, the importance of checking for understanding. So, okay, so you think we should paint it blue? No, that's what I said at the beginning. What I said at the end was yellow. So we want to check for understanding when we're sensing these types. Other observations, look for things like they love a lot of data, they want specifics. When you're giving direction, they're asking for a lot of specifics. So you say, can you put this slide deck together? Sure, what kind of font do you want? What layout do you want? What template do you want? What color palette do you want? And if I'm the other type who's sort of that big picture, communicates in theories and symbols, I'm like, oh my God, by the time I give all this data, I could do it myself. So we get really frustrated. But what we want to do is convey and give that person the information they need, because what they care about is doing it right and doing it well. And they need, it's sort of more pen and ink drawing versus abstract art. That's how the communication styles are so different. So if I'm more that big picture thinker, I'm going to want to give a little more detail in my instruction. If I'm a detailed person managing or communicating with big picture thinker, I need to make sure I don't come across as a micromanager. So I'm going to give them the information they need to have some bigger picture, like use this type of template. Here's our audience. Here's the outcome. Here's what we're hoping to accomplish, because that gives that big picture thinker the freedom to operate and create, which is what makes it fun for them. So they're motivated, but it also probably gives them enough information that they can run with it without feeling micromanaged. So some of what we want to do here is we want to meet in the middle. It's how do I kind of compromise around that? And through observations, have a better sense of how they need to hear information. If I've got that lab bench that's super organized and I'm trying to motivate them to do something, I need to give a plan. They like to know what the end point is and what the process looks like to get there. So sometimes when we're trying to drive change, we're saying, isn't everybody excited? And we're going to do this. It's going to be so great. And, this is going to be the best thing ever. And they're like, blah, 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 and they're like, how the heck are we getting from here to there? And we read that as they're resistant. They're not resistant to change. We just haven't given them what they need to have to be able to accept and embrace the change. So again, we're flexing our style to give our audience what they need. If I have a mixed audience, I'm going to do both, big picture and detail, long term, and the practicalities of today. A good plan with the flexibility for movement in between, right? Now there's something in there for everybody, because I'm communicating in a way that they can hear it, they can process it, and they can get motivated by it. All right. So I'm going to observe. I might listen, like we talked about, just see, observe, and think about, what are they saying? What are they telling me? What feedback am I getting? And oh my gosh, we might even ask, so tell me, what do you need from me to be successful in this project? What do you need from me to understand our vision moving forward and to get excited and be able to embrace that? And people are pretty self-aware. They'll tell you what they need, and then shift your style to meet their needs. All right, so we kind of threw those case studies out. We hit that flex your style and meet in the middle when we can.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to check out the next Snack Room sneak peek from Flexing Your Communication Style for Impact, or scan the QR code to watch the full video.